Okay, so we have been spending a few minutes getting to know these beautiful women who have been sharing their wins. And I don't normally record that part yet. I believe this part is so inspiring. And so I'll do a quick little recap. Bree, which I feel like we're playing a game because on my screen, she's underneath me. So Bree, wave your hand. She spent a month in Costa Rica. Do you want to share who you are a little bit, and we'll make sure that everybody knows because we share this in such a great space so that if someone's looking for a resource, you can become a resource.
Okay. Yeah. I am Bree Jewel. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm friends with Lori, and I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and also a medical support clinical hypnotherapist. So, working with people so I had a journey through chronic Lyme disease with multiple co-infections, and used I somebody asked me the other day, what do you think the major contributor to your healing was? And I'm like, well, the reason why I'm doing hypnotherapy is because I threw myself into a daily meditation practice and began to study spiritual texts and that and listening to my doctors, taking supplements or whatever, having great functional medicine doctors. But I think the hypnotherapy aspect or the mind aspect, the power of the mind was key, and knowing how powerful our thoughts and our words and everything are. And that's why I wanted to share that with other people.
I love it. Such a gift. You've taken your most greatest, probably challenge of your entire life and
Yeah.
completely turned it around to serve. Such a blessing.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. And Hillary came in and just dropped this bomb on all of us that she is like more than a couple days older than 50. And we are all in awe because do you want to share a little bit about you? Because I literally
Sure.
was like in my screen going, I'm sorry, what filter do you have
Yeah.
on?
I'm a recovering drug addict. I was a drug addict for 45 years. And in my 70s, I got my master's degree at Belmont in English. I was able to have an advisor who told me to take a memoir class. So I ended up writing a trauma-informed memoir and decided that I wanted to go on to get my PhD. And I'm going to MTSU. And I was able to find professors in the English department in rhetoric and composition who climbed on my bandwagon and said, you have something to offer the world in terms of writing about trauma, because we have all kinds of research about how writing heals, and especially if you're trying to even find what your trauma was. Sometimes those memories pop up when you're writing about it. So I'm currently halfway through a PhD program. Um, I haven't taken my comp exams yet, so I can't say I'm a PhD candidate, but I'm a PhD student, and 2 years into a 5-year program. They did give me 1 year of credits from Belmont, so I only have 2 years left to go instead of three. But my interest in healing has come through reading the book "The Body Keeps the Score" by Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, and it allowed me to understand what actually happened to me and how trauma changes the brain, and how truly medicine can't change it back. You can take antidepressants to help with the depression, but it doesn't change the brain structure nor chemistry, and that the way that you can affect it is through mindfulness. So writing is my mindfulness. It's what I pass on to other people, but I combine other things with the writing. I combine music, I combine um, art, sometimes, other people's writing.
Oh,
So
so beautiful. We're so grateful that you are here and you can share that gift because you said it and we weren't on record. And I was like, stop, we must record.
Oh,
Yeah, because you said,
the thing that I said was I started grad school at 70. So if you think you're too old to start anything, you're not. So
yes,
it can start at any time that you're ready to receive it. Like, I
100.
could have never gone to grad school when I was younger, partially because of the drug addiction, but I was not ready to receive it. There was no part of me that wanted that. When we seek knowledge, it's there and we can go get it and then we can receive it. You're never too old.
Never. Oh my gosh, it's so powerful. and who introduced you here, and Lori, in one of our guides, she always talks about the ask muscle, not what we sit on with two S's, but the ask when we ask, allow, and then we're able to receive, which is such a gift. So I'm going to do something real quick before we do the rest of our introduction. Can you all give yourselves a high five and like go into the camera like this? It's, yeah, if you've read the book from Mel Robbins, giving yourself a high five and following a number of sporting teams that she did the research, which is, giving yourself a high five. So we give you a high five for being here and giving yourself one for choosing in the middle of a Sunday, a day of rest. And we're grateful that you are here. And Miss Kim, she was on and shared, so special. She met Lori, well, in Nashville, but lives in Oregon or Oregon. I know it's pronounced lots of different ways.
Colorado.
But if you want to share a little bit about you, because I know you have such a beautiful website.
Oh no, my website is needs a ton of work. I haven't really really done anything with it. But anyway, I met Lori, yes, through my cousin who lives in Nashville. And I'm sorry, I'm off screen, I'm off camera because this is really uncomfortable holding a cell phone here. And I'm trying to see what's going on with my camera. I mean, with my computer right here. And I'm just like, so I'm
You're
like,
here.
oh,
How about this? We are
okay.
grateful that you are here because you have gone across the country and you're online with us today. So we're grateful. So no worries about your video. You're
Thank you.
so good.
So anyway, yeah, I got an opportunity to meet Lori, and we just instantly connected. So much so that, well, my cousin always gifts me with a massage from her, but she came out to visit me this year, and then we just started connecting. I met you through her, Maggie, and she's just one of those enlightened souls that just brings people along. And so it's just been a true honor and just love and gratitude getting an opportunity to meet and know her and just to, I guess, feel some of that positive mojo that she is always packing. So yeah, so that's why I'm here, and that is why, because I'm still trying to figure out. I mean, I've been blessed with so many opportunities. Just a quick background history. I'm a former professional athlete. I played basketball through high school and college, and then when I graduated from college, there was no professional basketball in America for women, so I had to go abroad and play. So I played 6 years in Spain, 4.5 years in Italy, a year in France, a year in Japan, and then they started the WNBA, and I was drafted to play for the New York Liberty. So that was like kind of my background. And then I just got, well, it'll be, I'm going, it's 3 years. I was hired with Nike because Nike started this WIN program. The acronym WIN which stands for Women in Nike. But they wanted to hire women that were former professional athletes, and particularly women of color, not all, but particularly because they felt that women of color don't get the same opportunities as our counterparts. And so I applied for the program and went through the rigorous interviews and things like that. And so here I am out here at Nike, and it's just been wonderful at 62, learning how to do all of these amazing things, with the computer. I actually work in marketing and it's partner marketing. So just getting an opportunity, like pulling images that are going to go in the Nordstrom store and, and just what's going to go on their digital content. And so it's just having the opportunity to learn so much and to grow. So that's where I'm at. And also trying to um, figure out what's next. And I feel gifted. I feel that I have, that I am gifted in ways, but it's just trying to figure that out. So,
Well, I know our message today because I got a prep on it yesterday. I believe it will leave you in a very sweet spot. Not just you, all of us in general, because we're coming to the end of a year and the new year and all as women, the opportunities that we find that are such blessings and they can multiply. So we're so grateful that you're here, especially when you literally like just landed. Literally. And you probably haven't even unpacked your bags yet.
Yeah, that might not happen for a couple of days.
Yes, yes. Well, good. Well, thank you, thank you. And we have Karen, who is one of my sweet friends that lives part of the time in Florida and part of the time in Michigan, um, and you're only here for what, a couple more days?
Yeah, we fly back south on Saturday, early morning. So um I don't know. I don't know about me. I
So that's your win.
That's your win.
My win is we made it here. Actually, we got here on Monday and there was it started raining and then it froze and then it was ice. It was yeah, that was kind of crazy. So we made it here. My win is just, I would say my win has been that I have been, it was fun to step away. We bought a new to us mobile home in Florida, uh, purchased between the two hurricanes this year, and we've been remodeling. So I've been really super busy, physically busy. And so it was kind of fun to come back here to Michigan and see friends and take time for me now that that holiday is done and we're working to the next one. So, start with a new, I still use a paper planner. So I'm starting with that and getting things set up and getting my intentions for the year. And I'm still working on what my word is going to be. I don't know that yet, but there's going to be a word. And I know what Maggie's got to say today is going to help me with that.
You are
Yeah.
what you were reading my mind. So good. Your timing is
Always.
great. So good. And we have Miss Jess. I would love for you to introduce yourself because you are stepping into a very new place. Well, you stepped into a new place this last year. And I'll just share real quick, Jess has been such an impact to me. We literally live not many miles away, but we were only met on social media, and she was such a beacon of hope, being a nurse and having such medical support during COVID and all the scary parts of, the biggest, craziest time in our lives. And she became this like spokesperson. And it was wild when you're like, you follow someone and then you're like, oh my gosh, she lives close. So, in the transition, if you want to share a little bit about you, because you never know who might step into your new office.
Oh, thank you, Maggie. Well, I'm Jessica Mathiak, and Maggie is a very sweet friend that we've gotten to know each other because we do live so close to one another in a little small pocket here in Michigan. Um, and I had a big change this year. 2024 was very unlike any other year for us. In February of this year, I had an extremely significant and scary health situation that took place. I have a blood clotting disorder, and I had multiple blood clots shoot off all at one time, striking my brain, my heart, and my lungs all together. And as Maggie mentioned, I'm a registered nurse, and I was at work when this happened, and a coworker started CPR and put an AED on and all that good stuff. And I spent some time in the ICU. And by the grace of God, I'm here today. And so during that time, I part of the things that had happened is I did have a seizure, and so I can't drive for 6 months. And so my place of employment was an hour from home, and that really was a big struggle trying to get to work full time, all that good stuff. And essentially that episode is what we call it in our family, my episode.
Mhm.
That episode led me to opening my own practice. It was God's push to start a wellness practice in my hometown. And so that happened in February, and July 22nd, we opened the doors to a brand new practice where we do focus on holistic healing. And I do aesthetics as well. I am a cosmetic injector, but the primary focus has been making sure that I specifically use the gifts that God has given me to help support my own community. And majority of my patients and support have been women. And it's really neat and encouraging to see uh, this challenging situation at 40 years old turns into me starting my own company. And God has just been really good to us, and we've been able to prosper and do very well at such a early stage in business model. But Maggie has been giving me these wonderful little nuggets to work with, to connect to other women in business and who have, similar like-mindedness, I guess would be the best way to place it. But where I can learn and grow from other entrepreneurs or other women who have kind of come before me in this aspect. Because as a nurse, we don't learn, business, right? Like it's so I was very encouraged, like Kim, just to hear you talk about marketing. I'm like, oh, what does she have to say? Because those are all areas that I am very interested in. And so thank you for inviting me today. I was a few minutes late jumping on, so I hope that's what you're looking for, Max.
That's perfect. It's absolutely, I literally have the chills right now, just knowing that nothing is by accident. And as hard as it has been for us to choose a time, a place, a date, that Sundays, we've done this now for almost, I don't know how many, we've been on like what, 6 months now, 7.
Yeah.
Um, that there's such a commitment to yourself by taking an hour out of any time in any day in any space. Yet I feel that Sundays can be one of the hardest because it takes so many different directions, whether you're in school or you work for someone else or you work for yourself or you have 5 kids, no kids, you're traveling or not traveling, so many things. So we're so thankful. And I know that there's a couple of people I've been getting messages. So sorry, I'm looking down. A couple of people are having a hard time getting on. I know we have Holly on, but her camera won't work. And what do we say whenever technology is not challenging? I love technology. I love technology because sometimes I don't. So, Holly, we're so grateful you are here. If you want to pop in and say a little hello, she is also a nurse, and by the grace of God, she got a puppy, and the puppy is as cute as it is being well, or not well, being good over the holidays.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I hear your voice.
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, Holly.
Hi.
So glad you made it. Do you
Glad
have a
you could
win that you
join
want to
us.
share other than your puppy, or you can share that your puppy is cute and doing well?
My puppy's doing cute and well, and I think just surviving the holidays is, and it's quiet, and I'm blessed that it's very quiet and relaxing and getting stuff done around my house. So,
What kind of puppy?
he is a Labradoodle, a mini one.
Oh,
Anything doodle. Like, oh, such a beautiful.
Yes, he's very sweet.
Yay.
Hey,
Yes.
So
glad
glad
you're
that you're
here.
here.
thanks for being here.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. We also have a Catway. I don't know if you're able to say hello. Nobody has to be on video if you don't want. We're grateful that you are here in any capacity. If you want to share a win, you can type it, you can share it. And
Hi, I just popped in. Hi.
yay, we're glad you're here.
Okay,
Yay, we're glad you're here. That's awesome.
thanks for
And
coming.
so let's see. I don't think I missed anybody. Okay, so I'll do a quick little introduction. We have 4 of us that are leading this Worthy Collective. We started an actual book study with the Book Worthy back in, was it this summer? I'm trying to think of our actual start date.
Spring, summerish.
And the 4 of us, so Tamara, Lori, Stacy, and myself read the book like what, 3 times? And it was so
Something like that.
powerful realizing that so many of us struggle with our worthiness. And so we transitioned into a program that you're not locked into a study, we're into specific subjects so that it's such a blessing to be live like this. And we are so grateful. Yet we also know there's a number of people that it did not come together. And so they would love to have the replay and the recording. And so we had a mission. We were on a mission to support other women and especially women in business because it is a very, very lonely place when you are working on a vision that you have, especially when you feel it's tied to your greatest gift and purpose. And so when we come together, we share our wins, we have a topic of support. And again, I love how Jess said, oh, Kim, marketing, like then it becomes a connector so that you guys can connect on different subjects. You want something to go deeper on. And so the 4 of us Lori, as you know, Lori. Do you want to share a little bit about you? We'll share about Lori, Stacy, and then I'll introduce Tamara, our teacher for today. Oh, honey, Lori, you're on mute. I love
Yeah,
this.
hello. Hi, ladies. Hi, ladies. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. I've been a massage therapist for 30 years, and I'm transitioning into being a coach, helping women empower themselves and how to make themselves a priority, how to commit to themselves, and also to help massage therapists and any kind of healers skyrocket their business and avoid burnout. So, yes. So it's been an honor and to be part of this community. God was nudging me to, okay, you've mastered massage, now let's move on. So I was like, well, if you want me to help lead the masses, I need a team, and I need, women of like-mindedness and heartedness. And then Maggie, and then Tamara, and Stacy, we have been collaborating, and it's been the most joyful thing. I've done a deeper commitment for myself. So it's wonderful to have you, and there's nuggets from everyone. It's a win-win community. So sharing is caring, and that's what we're all about here. So thank you, Maggie. And thank you, ladies, for joining.
Can I just say that your natural light on your face right now, I
It's
know that you
perfect.
didn't, I know it is gorgeous.
I'm house sitting, and I was like, where is the best place in this house? And here I am. Like,
Although I think what we're gonna find is you're gonna be like, dude, it's gonna end up like this, dude.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. It's 3:35 here, so yeah, it's shifting. It's been
Yesterday we
raining. It's
did.
been raining all morning, so it's a another blessing that it's
Raining here too.
Oh yeah, it's like raining sideways here. And we did our group collaboration yesterday morning, and she had this gold tree that I was like, I mean, it didn't even look real. It was so sparkly. I know
Right.
it's in another room. So, yeah. So, Lori, thank you for your heart. She is the most resourceful person I have met in my entire life. And if you were invited by her, you know that. And she is absolutely, yeah, just so resourceful. It's such a gift to know your soul. And Miss Stace, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Stacy Duffy, and I'm a mom of 5 daughters and a grandma to 2 grandsons. Um, my business is holistic wellness, focusing on nutritional coaching, hypnosis, and toe reading, with some more modalities. I currently work a regular job and do this on the side, trying to make it take over and replace my original job, regular job, I guess is what you would say. Um, the growth that I've received, I'm so sorry, my alarm's going off for my food that's cooking. Anyways,
She's a planner.
yeah,
Good job.
yes, I have to plan because I work so far away from home. So I have to plan my meals on Sunday so that I have enough food for the week. Anyways, um, we started this journey over a year ago, and just the growth that I have had and the friendships that I have enjoyed so much with all of these ladies and everyone that joins us, whether they're here all the time or, hit or miss. Just sharing everyone's stories has just been wonderful. And it's just so uplifting to know that you're not alone and you don't have to do it alone. And that has been like the biggest thing for me because I raised my girls by myself. And I did it because I was going to do it myself because no one else was going to do it. And it would have been so much easier if I would have just had some help. So with that, I'm going to go shut that stupid alarm off.
So what you're saying is you received this last year.
Yes, I received. Yes.
She
And I'm
did.
learning to open up and receive even more because I've been closed off for a long time.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. And through our worthy collective, she endured one of the greatest losses. One of the greatest. She's had many losses in her lifetime. And that one particular loss was her best friend's daughter and 2 sons. And it's the stories that you read about that you think, oh my gosh, I can't imagine. Yet when you walk alongside of someone that endures that, we all felt it. We all felt that. And yet she felt us. She felt our support. She
Yes,
felt our encouragement. She felt that extra layer of just beingness, like being there, knowing that there was a support system behind her because she stepped into her best friend in the best way she could. But what happens when we step into someone else? We sometimes step away from ourselves. And
yes,
so recognizing that it's not that you can't do it alone, it's the fact that when you link arms, you're stronger and iron
absolutely.
sharpens iron. And so, that was definitely one of the hardest things to imagine. And yet, watching you maneuver through it and all the things that you grew from and looking at your family members and around makes such a difference to see that strength. So, such a gift. Hey, so proud of you. And
Thank you.
so, Miss Tamara, oh my goodness, let me share about our Tamara, our guide today, who is going to be teaching. I'm grabbing her accolades. So, I'll give you a little summary. Miss Tamara has been oh my goodness, 30 years of professional experience, radio, TV, theater, film, actor, actress, singer, producer. She has her own studio, so she is a performance coach, and her company name is Upwardly Vocal Studio. She supports with auditions, preparation, vocal technique development, character creation, voiceover, script analysis. She loves theater, film production, nonprofit, lots of different arts and organizations. She has her degree in bachelor's in communication from Western. Woo woo. That's where we met lots and lots of years ago. We now know each other longer than what is it? Longer than half our life?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Several
that sounded
decades.
funny. She has community service. She has a big involvement in her church and volunteers with the AV booth for over 5 years, sings in the praise and worship band called Life Song. She's a Stephen minister, 55 hours of training and active listening. She's the master of listening. Certified nonprofit facilitator, Stronger Women of Survivors, Domestic Abuse and Journey of Hope Grief Support Center. She's been married for over 29 years. She married Rob when she was a baby.
Yep.
And she said here, whom she met and asked out at her at the only fraternity party she ever attended. She's a homeschool mom, teaching drama and musical therapy, and she has a pet that is the size of most people's humans in their house. And I am so thankful that her preparation and her attention to detail is such a gift. And so she has an incredible message today to share.
Thank you,
Yay!
Maggie. Yes, my giant dog is named Leo. He's a 105-pound Great Pyrenees, and my husband is his emotional support human. They are stuck together like glue most of the time. Um, so thank you for that wonderful introduction. I am so blessed to meet all of you. You may think you're just showing up, but you actually feed us with your heart and your souls, and it inspires us and it also informs us on who's out there and what they need. And so I'm just so grateful that all of you are here. And I have my win for this week is my best friend from high school and her husband and her son came to visit. They arrived late last night and they're actually in the other room visiting with the rest of my family while I'm in here teaching. So I'm so excited to be here with you. And they were laughing because they were like, don't you got to go and be online in a minute? And I'm like, yeah, I'll get there. So I had prepared beforehand. So I'm so thrilled to be here. Okay, so today I am talking about taking inspired action. And I am just, with a way as Maggie mentioned, I am a homeschooling mom. I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I was a professional performer, director, producer. I had no intention of becoming a teacher, a voice teacher, acting teacher. I learned so much from my children. My children have inspired me. I have 3 books that I'm going to write eventually, and one of them is going to be about how God wooed me back into a relationship with when I became a parent with each of my children. With each children, he taught me a lesson. So that is something that I filter a lot of my perspective on the world and my perspective on faith through the filter of parenting. So you'll hear me talking a lot about that. And I believe that God puts us in places not only for ourselves, but so that we can be there for other people. And I think today you're going to see by the end of this, you're going to see that connection. So I used to teach a class at my previous church called Movie and a Message. And I would watch any movie and I would say, God shows up in every single movie and I can prove it. And I pretty much would watch movies and I would say, God always shows up, always shows up. So he's always there for you. And he puts each of us into each other's lives so that we can be there for each other. So we become the hands and feet of God for each other. So today we're talking about inspired action. And the question is, what inspired action can I take today? And our inspiration is going to be talking about how your dream is waiting for you to act. And Hillary, you really inspired me. This is really part of your story. Step forward with inspiration and see doors open. So I have always thought about going back and getting my master's degree. It's been a big source of contention with my husband and I, and I've always thought, I'm too old, I'm too old, I'm too old. And you just taught me today that is not the correct approach. So that's one of my limiting beliefs that I'm going to need to turn around. But anyway, so we're going to take one inspired action today. I'm going to show you even the smallest step can bring you your dream closer. So everybody has a dream. Sometimes our dreams are about goals and accomplishments, and sometimes they are about healing. And the message for today's lesson is taking inspired action today. Even the smallest step brings your dream closer. Inspiration may come from anywhere, and the steps you need to take may not be what you expect, and they can be simple or complicated, easy or difficult, humble or grand. So let me tell you about one of the Bible stories. And part of my faith journey, I have been through the Bible 8 times. 7 times I listened to it through the daily audio Bible. And 1 time I went through reading it through a class that I took called Disciple 1, I think is what it's called. And so there's a lot of stories in the Bible that I didn't know existed. And to be truly honest, I didn't really know what was in the Bible until I went through it with my kids. And I went through it with a program called What's in the Bible with Buck Denver, which was written by Phil Vischer. And he goes through the entire Bible with puppets and he does all the voices. It's hilarious and it was so educational, but I digress. One of the stories that I learned from that one of my favorite stories is it shows how we sometimes get in our own way. It's about that inspired action. It's about the inspired action an army commander took after he learned to humble himself, set aside his pride, adjust his expectations, all inspired by humble servants. Okay? The servants were the teachers of the lesson. And that is something that I have learned through my teaching is I learn more from my students, including my children, than I do from anyone else. They teach me, they lead me, because I learned what I need to learn. I learn what I don't know. I learn from a different perspective that I didn't have. So in this case, the story is about Naaman, a commander of an army of the king of Aram or Syria. Naaman had leprosy and he sought healing. And he learned about healing through a servant girl of his wife. And she had mentioned casually, gosh, I wish he could go to Israel and there's somebody there who could heal him. And it was an overheard conversation that got back to him. So he went to his king. His king then wrote to the king of Israel, who then sent Naaman to the prophet Elisha. Now, does anybody know about the prophet Elisha? There's 2 prophets. There's Elijah, who is the one that was taken by a chariot up into heaven. And then there's Elisha, who often gets confused with him. But Elisha was actually his apprentice. And Elisha there was a miracle where there was a widow who was going to have to sell her children into slavery, and he provided her with an oil and told her to gather all these bottles, and then she just kept pouring oil, and eventually she was able to pay off all the debt, and she never had to sell her children. That's probably one of the most famous miracles for Elisha. So all that to just say that Elisha and his whole life highlights themes of faith and obedience and the power of God to intervene in human affairs. And his story is a testament to the continuation of God's prophetic mission and serves as an inspiration for those seeking to understand the power of faith and divine intervention. So back to Naaman's story. Naaman was sent to Elisha, and Elisha sent back instructions for Naaman in order to cure his leprosy, to just wash himself 7 times in the Jordan River. That's all he needed to do to be healed. Naaman was initially angry about that. He was upset because he expected some grander gesture. He was thinking that, Elisha himself would come and deliver this message. He was thinking that someone higher up would show up with this message. He thought there was going to be more of a ceremony to this. There was going to be more of a show to it. And Naaman's own ego and pride said, oh, the rivers of Damascus, where he was from, had way better waters than the Jordan River. And that Jordan River was inferior to the waters where he came from. So, but here's where the second servant comes in. The servant said, his own servant came up to him later after he had settled down and suggested that he just try. Just try. He says, I don't understand. There were simple instructions. They were already in Israel. Why couldn't you just go ahead and go in the, wash in the river 7 times? So I wanted to read the actual scripture, because a lot of times I think we hear Bible stories, but when we don't get the actual scripture, we feel like that anytime we hear about the Bible, it's kind of it's a mystery. It's too hard to understand. In fact, we equate it with Shakespeare, or we equate it with the King James version of scripture. So the NIV version is what I'm going to read, and I want you to hear the story because I want you to hear the tone. And it's really the tone that because I analyze text for a living, I read scripts all the time and really pull things out of the text that most people don't necessarily hear. So I wanted to read it for you. And this is from 2 Kings 5, chapter 5, verses 1 through 14. And this one, I'm going to pick it up at verse 9. So Naaman showed up at Elisha's door with horses and chariots. Big, grand gesture. Elisha did not show his face to Naaman, but instead sent instructions. Wash yourself in the Jordan River 7 times. The waters will heal you and your skin will be back to normal. You will be cleansed. Naaman boiled with anger as he left Elisha. He had come to his house expecting something much different. Naaman said, what is this? I came here thinking that Elisha would come outside and call upon the name of the Eternal One, his God, and that Elisha's hand would pass over my sores and heal my skin disease, not the waters of the Jordan River. He wanted the show. That's what he wanted. The rivers of Damascus are greater than all the rivers of Israel combined, so why couldn't I just go bathe in those and be healed? Naaman then stormed away, boiling with anger. Later, his servants approached and spoke to him with respect. Note that, with respect. Naaman's servant said, Father, if the prophet had told you to do something important, wouldn't you have done what he had asked? Why is it so difficult for you to follow his instructions then when he tells you, bathe yourself in the Jordan River and be cleansed? So Naaman swallowed his pride, walked down to the Jordan River, washed himself 7 times, just as the man of God had instructed him to do. Then, there the miracle occurred. Naaman's disease was healed, his skin was as new as an infant's, and he was clean from the disease. Naaman, all his entourage, went back to the man of God, And Naaman said, I am convinced that there is no God who exists in this entire world like the true God of Israel. Please accept this gift from me, your humble servant. So he listened to the servants, and now he has made himself a servant. Elisha said, as certain as the life of the eternal whom I worship, I refuse to take any gifts. Naaman tried again to give Elisha a gift, but Elisha would not take it. Naaman said, okay, if you won't take my gift, at least allow me to take 2 mule loads of earth. I, your servant, will no longer give burnt offerings or sacrifices to other gods. The Eternal One is my only God now. May the Eternal One forgive me when I walk into the house of Rimmon, the storm god of Aram, to worship there beside my master. As his first officer, I must be by his side whenever he goes, even when he worships, and may he forgive me for bowing down in that place. And Elisha responded, go, be at peace about this matter. So what I want to point out there is that Naaman had to humble himself. He made this grand gesture. He was looking for a show. He decided, he learned that wasn't, his pride and his ego had to be put aside, and he had to follow through. He could have just gone to the Jordan, washed himself 3 times and said, this is ridiculous, and left, but he didn't. He had to do all 7 times. And when he did, when he acted upon that, that is when the miracle happened. So the story of Naaman's healing carries several key messages that can be applied to modern day thinking. And when we get to the end of the year, we often talk about what we're going to do in this next year. And sometimes we will find a word to follow. And this is a word that Miss Lori brought this up. And it wasn't until it was associated with an acronym, and I'll give you the acronym, that it connected with me. And here's what it is. The story of Naaman can teach us about focus, which is following one course until successful, and provides a powerful illustration about the importance of perseverance, faith, and consistency in achieving goals. So F stands for following. Naaman followed the specific instructions given to him by the prophet Elisha, despite his initial reluctance. This demonstrates that the importance of committing to a course of action, even when it doesn't initially make sense or align with our expectations. Alignment is super important. Any of us in business know that we have to align our purpose with our customer. Otherwise, we get off course or it doesn't work. And in this case, his alignment with his expectations were off. So how many times do we expect one thing, and when it doesn't meet our expectations, we either give up, get frustrated, walk away? So focus. And that means following. So the O stands for one. Naaman had to focus on one specific task, washing in the Jordan River 7 times. That was it. That was his one task. It was simple enough. This singular focus was essential to his healing, emphasizing the importance of concentrating on one course of action and not getting distracted by alternatives that seem more appealing. Bigger, showier things. C, the letter C, stands for course. The course of action prescribed to Naaman was clear and simple, yet it required humility. And I define humility as setting aside your pride or ego. And faith. He had to have humility and faith. By sticking to this course, Naaman was able to achieve the desired outcome. This highlights the need to stay on a predetermined path, trusting that it will lead to success. The word trust in this case is total reliance upon spiritual timing. It may not meet the timing that we think or that we want or however we think it should go. Sometimes it's upon our spiritual timing, which God's in control of that. U in focus stands for until. Naaman had to persist until he had completed the task as instructed. This aspect of persistence and following through until the end is crucial. Like I said, he could have gotten out of that river after the 3rd wash, the 4th wash, the 5th wash, the 6th wash. It would not have completed. He would not have seen the miracle happen. He was told 7. He had to commit to 7. It reminds us that achieving our goals often requires seeing the process through to completion, even when it is challenging. Probably Hillary can relate to this. Even when it's challenging, see it all the way through. That's where the focus comes in. U is until, let's see, I already did that one, right? Correct? I did until. Persist until the task is exactly as instructed. Okay. Successful. And S stands for successful. Naaman's ultimate success, his healing, came as a direct result of following the course laid before him. This success was not immediate, but it required faith and persistence. These are two words that keep coming back in: faith, persistence, faith, persistence. It illustrates that staying focused and committed to a course of action can lead to successful outcomes, even if the path is not always clear or easy. So, what do we learn about the word focus? Following one course until successful. It's committing to a plan. Just as Naaman committed to Elisha's instructions, we commit to a chosen course of action, and we have to trust the process. Concentrating on a singular goal. Naaman's healing required him to focus on one specific task. Similarly, maintaining focus on a primary goal helps you avoid distractions. Persistent until completion. Success often requires seeking a task through to the end, as Naaman's story shows. Perseverance is key. Trust. This is one that a lot of us struggle with. Trust is a simple step, but sometimes the path to success involves simple, consistent actions. Simple, consistent actions. Like Naaman, we should not be underestimating the power of these steps. And overcoming resistance, Naaman's initial reluctance was overcome by faith and encouragement. And encouragement from two servants. One was an overheard conversation, and the other one was after his servant came to him with respect. Very important, often particularly with the male species, we have to come to them with respect. So we must push past our doubts to achieve our goals. So in this group, if you've been with Worthy Collective for a while, we may have heard this before. David Baer says that desire plus non-resistance equals your desired outcome. We have to remove the resistance, which is often our limiting beliefs, and you will achieve your desired outcome. So when we focus, we find inspiration and practical guidance on our journey towards achieving our year-long goals. But you're going to say, Miss Tammara, I don't have leprosy. I have a dream. Well, here at Magnetic Worthy Women, our Worthy Collective, we have 5 pillars. Maggie is all about teaching us about dreaming. That's part of my story when working with Maggie this past year. She reminded me to dream. And we define that as discover your purpose through relationships and community, empower your mindset, and master your wellness. And each of us, be it Maggie, Lori, Stacy, or myself, we teach something, or we focus, we all have something that contributes to one of those pillars. So I have a teaching process, the how of how do I accomplish? How do you inspired action, right? I have a process that I follow with myself, my homeschooled children, and the students that I teach. From dreaming to accomplishment to accomplishing their goals for them to reach success. Success I defined as where preparation and opportunity meet. That's by Zig Ziglar. So I teach what's called a spiral method, and I will actually share my screen with you in just a second, but it was introduced by Jerome Brunner. He, I think it's Bruner actually, because it's one N. Bruner's theory of cognitive development was written about in the Process of Education in 1960. It's a simple process, and it's called the spiral method. And I was first introduced to it when my kids took a music class. And it can be applied to just about anything. And I'll go through what it is, and then I'll explain how I use it, and then I'll explain how you can use it in business. Remember, I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I had no intention of having my own business, and here I am with a studio of students. So I'm going to insert this image now. Let me see. Hopefully I can share my screen. I'm not even sure if I have the correct version of this. Hold on one second. I love technology. I love technology. I love technology. And let me see if I can find it. Okay, here it is. All right. Oh, now I'm going to have to make my screen bigger. Give me 1 second, y'all. Let's see.
You've been in Texas for long enough that you just said y'all, like no big deal.
Yep, I say y'all all the time. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and then I'm going to change my screen. So hold with me. It's not going to look as professional. I think it's this one here that I want. I'm going to share it and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to make it the slide. All right, can everybody see my screen?
Yep,
Yeah,
you
okay,
got
good.
it. Good job. Woo-woo!
Okay, so, oops, okay, I got to remember that I can't. So the spiral curriculum, so you're gonna take any subject of any difficulty can be taught to any child at any stage of development. And what you do is you start with, if you'll see that there, I have you take anything and you break it down. Hold on, I gotta move our picture, it's blocking my view. You take any dream and you break it down into goals, right? The dream is the big thing. It could be winning an Academy Award, right? Like that might be one of my students. And then you break it down into measurable goals, right? And so, okay, well, in order to get that, I have to have these goals. I have to have an agent. I have to have this. I have to have that, whatever it is. And then you'll have the elements that you need to achieve those goals. And then you break those elements, which what I would call the pillars, right? So you have these different elements, and then there's skills that go along with each of those elements. So if you can see at the bottom, anything that's new, right? You're gonna take any of the pillars, and you're gonna have the skills that are required, and you're gonna start with the most basic skill. And once you can successfully do that 2 times in a row, then you move on to the next skill at that same level in the other pillar or whatever element it is. And then once you've done that 2 times in a row, sometimes you'll work on 2 of them at once. Sometimes it's 1, 2, sometimes it's 3 different elements, but it's the basic skill. And then once you've mastered that and you've gone through all of your elements, I'm going to use the example of 5 because we have our dream pillars, the 5. Once you've mastered them at that level, then you cycle through those same elements. You're just increasing the level of difficulty, and you might add another element. So you've got 4 out of the 5. And then once they've mastered that, you go to the next level. So you just keep learning and growing and keep learning and growing. And you just cycle through those elements, right? And you just level up each time. I do this. So here's with my students, I wrote down some examples, the elements that I might have. I'm always going to work on, for singing, I'm always going to work on breath support, which might include airflow speed, vibrato, balance, bounce, what I call bounce, mouth shape, which is called embouchure. So that's my second pillar, which is going to have to do with your soft palate. If anybody has singing background, your soft palate, your tongue positioning, your jaw, how do you use your jaw? That's one of the skills. Ear training, which is like pitch accuracy, learning about harmony, how to hear different harmonies, what the different harmonies are, sight singing. Storytelling, whether you're singing or whether you're looking at a script, there's the art of storytelling and how to break down the script, how to look at the text, how to analyze the text, how to connect it with emotions. All of those are different skills. And then the mechanics of the voice itself, the vocal folds, which would involve your register, how to avoid vocal strain, how to maintain vocal health, how to widen your range, those kinds of things. So I would start with the basic skills of all 5 of those things, and once they master those, then I'm going to increase to go to a harder skill, but of the same 5 elements, and move up from there. Now you're going to say, but I don't sing, Miss Tammara. I need to know about business. Well, okay, so if you have a business, let's say that you have this dream of having a Fortune 500 company. Okay, so that's the top. Then you have the goals that you need to get to that, right? Whether it be becoming part of the stock market, whether it becoming how many employees that you need, whatever those goals are, and then the elements you might need to get to those goals. Well, you might need marketing, you might need continuing education, you might need finances, you might need networking, and you might need equipment, right? So you start with the lowest level of what you need, and then you cycle through all those 5 elements. And then the next time you add another level of difficulty, now it might take you a week, it might take you a month, it might take you a year to get to accomplish some of these, but you keep track of each of those little things. You break it down into the largest dream, into the smallest steps, and as you accomplish them, you just keep adding on a layer of difficulty. For me right now, and Maggie knows this, it's learning social media. And I learn one new thing. I make a ton of mistakes, but I learn one new thing each time. And then I just add another layer of difficulty, add another layer of difficulty, add another layer of difficulty. I may take a step backwards, but then I keep going. So that's the spiral method. That's the secret to how I teach everything. I'm going to stop my screen share now. I approach everything from a break it down and build it back up. And that's how I do it. And like I said, I approach everything as a homeschooler, because I teach through my children. My children teach me. So that is my method. So when you take a big dream and you break it down to goals that you can do now or later, they don't have to be imminent. They may take some time. Break it down to the elements needed to accomplish the goals. Break it down to measurable steps. Break it down to the skills or the tools required, from the least to most difficult, the least expensive to most expensive, the needed now or needed later. Break it down to the me or the team. There might be times where you are not the expert and you may need to get an expert, which is where this community comes in handy. So you might need to build your team. I am not an expert on accounting, so I need to hire an accountant. I'm not an expert on social media, so I needed to hire somebody to help me with that. So you can see, you just start small, cycle through all the skills required for that element, level up, master that. Once you've mastered it, eventually it becomes your habit, right? If you do something long enough, eventually it becomes the habit, and it becomes a habit when you no longer have to think about it. You just do it automatically. And then you, once you've mastered at that skill level for all the elements, move to the next level and just keep adding a layer of difficulty. So measuring your progress, celebrate your wins, accomplish your goals, and live your dreams. So you take the dream, break it down to the steps, measure your progress, celebrate your wins, accomplish your goals, and then you get to live your dream. So keep your focus, follow one course until successful. I know we all love to talk about and brag about how we can multitask, but we really can't. We have to focus on one thing at a time, and we just keep cycling through. And I do that because I work a lot with neurodivergent children in my household. One of the things that I did not mention is that out of the 5 people in my house, 4 of them are ADHD. I am the only one who does not have ADHD. And so I have to often keep things moving because to keep things interesting. So I keep my students, if they get bored too quickly, so I'm always moving forward, always moving forward. So that's my secret, and that's going to be my word for the year, because I have had to, with all the distractions, with all of my different focuses, I've had to learn to focus on one course until successful, and then I can check things off my list. So
fabulous. So I know we're a few minutes over. I apologize, ladies. We're normally really tight on, but we were visiting in the beginning, which was so special, and love hearing more about you and about your wins. So if you have something you want to message Tammara directly or in the chat, feel free. Something that might have highlighted to you. I believe in the story in the prep, there's parts of the Bible that I recognize being born into a Presbyterian church, but going to a Catholic church. Like Monday through Friday, I had different stories that I remember, and then the weekends. And when she brought this, I thought, gosh, I remember the Elijah and Elijah Like you need the visual of the J and the SH to be like, okay. And then like even when she said that, like how many times in life we've heard something and it brings us back to a moment of, wow, how did I hear it then and how is it different now? And so that message of how many times in life are we given a message, a whisper, and sometimes we make it, at least I will take all the responsibility myself that I make it about me instead of doing the do. Like, go bathe 7 times. And instead of like, well, wait a second, what about this? And what about that? And then pretty soon I don't even remember what I was supposed to do. And so that message, I hope, gives you a space to recognize that if you are in a questioning spot of yourself in purpose, direction, clarity, that it gives you that option. Hey, Luz, can you stop? It's so loud. Sorry. And so recognizing that we're all in those different spaces and opportunities that we can do it with ease. And when you have support and you have a system, it creates a greater experience. And that many times in life as women, we can do things by ourselves by 100%. Like Hillary is not in class by herself, but she has to show up. She has to show up. And showing up time and time again, whether it's online or in person, to that in which she told herself she was going to the assignment. Lisa is not here today. She's working her other third job. And she put herself back into school over 50, and she has just been like, wow, do question. Um, oh, the book that I mentioned at the beginning, the first book that we started in our
Yeah,
Worthy Collective was The Worthy, Worthy by Jamie Kern Lima.
this is what it looks like.
Yep. So powerful. And so there's two things, I don't want to go too much longer because we never go this late. So if you have to jump, we completely understand. We'll make sure to get you the
Sorry,
replay
ladies. I didn't realize what
afterward.
time it was.
It's all good. You were great. It was great. So two quick things. One, part of what I wanted to finish up, which I feel like I don't want to take away from the message yet, the word focus came in because as our guides, Lori, Stacy, Tamara, and myself, we have been we always do things weeks in advance. And so we've been talking about our word. And so you're going to hear this, you're going to see this. You might have already done this over the years, but I want to challenge you to something different. I've been doing this. I was trying to find all my words, and I want to say it's been like 6 or 7 years now that I've been doing it. And so many people do it differently. You do it how it best serves you. But when you're in the good, in the bad, in the challenging, in the joy, in all places in your life, personal, professional, relationship, health, wealth, all of it. If you were to take this word and input it to that situation, is it going to move you closer in alignment to what it is that is the desire of your heart? And I was toying around with the word, I'll be honest, trust. I was like, okay, God, here I am. What word should I do for 2025? This last year was impact. So every time I was in a situation, am I impactful? Am I making an impact? Is there a position to make of impact when I've been asked to do things and I had to step back and say, thank you so much for thinking of me. I'm going to graciously decline because it wasn't going to be the impact for my time and my energy. And so realizing that as women, that most of us are saying yes before we actually check in with ourselves to say, I don't want to cash a check that my tush can't, like write a check my tush can't cash, right? So like overcommitting. And so take the time to lean into what is on your heart. It does not mean you have to do it by 12:01 on January 1st. It's up to you. And the reason I love the word over resolutions is that you look at the entire year. as to what it is that you want in your heart and in your soul and what it is you believe that is your gift of genius. Like Jess didn't even realize she said she's stepping into her gift. She's used her gifts in one way in the hospital, and now it is making a completely different impact in the community in ways that she never imagined. And just by having Hillary here today, she's impacted us because she made a decision, followed through in the decision. It's a 5-year impact. And she's been able to take a year from her past experience to make it 4, but it's still 4 years and she's halfway in. So like those are such ripples of blessings that come upon us when we're in a group like this. And I have been the type of person that I've joined Bible studies, I've joined churches, I've joined, and I still will, yet they finish and I'm like, feel like I just jumped off a cliff because I'm like, where do I go now? And so having a place that you can be that can build you right where you are, no comparison to anyone else, only you and where you were yesterday. So if you choose in on this word, 100% win, and how you might have been hearing a word in your heart, maybe you will now, maybe you'll start thinking about it differently and how it impacts you and what was so precious about the word focus. And you can take that word, like we were talking about trust, and I was like, trust for me is hard because I already trust this whole walk and this whole creation has been on my heart for years. And it's not the simple thing that you just do. There's so many steps, and the tech is like, oh, there's so many blessings. There's so many blessings. Yet until I'm not in a position to hire it out until I'm in a certain position in business, just like Jess, there's certain things she'll want to market herself, yet she's got to do a few things first, just like all of us in all things. And so the opportunity to choose into that word and explore it, you'll have the recording from today. And the second part is that if this has hit your soul at all, in a way that you were like us, where we were praying for support. That in which I prayed for because I experienced it in the last 30 years of owning my own business. There are times when I had the most incredible support and I could soar because I had wind beneath my wings. I had support systems in place like I can't even explain to you. Then the business or company was gone, and guess what? I landed hard on my tush and it hurt. And it took me quite a bit to get back up because I didn't have a system. I didn't have a support system. And so what I wanted to create, and I had a vision on my heart that there were other women in this position that could use a system. And so if you want to know more about our system, what it looks like, there's pieces to it where you can be a part of it for a month and check it out. You can join us on these Sunday calls. We created an accountability because that next level that we're talking about this word is stepping into action. But it's not me telling you, it's not Tammara, it's not Lori, it's not Stacy. It's supporting that in which you want, need, and desire. And you might be in a position right now where it's about your health. It might be about your wealth. It might be about your relationships. It might be about your business. Everyone is different seasons and need different support. And that accountability, you know, when you say, I'm going to go for a walk, and then your neighbor shows up and says, let's go, like it's a different story. There's a different conversation, like, okay, I'll go. I'll just do it. There's different support. And what we have seen, I was hoping Tracy would be able to join us today. She is Australian, living in Miami, visiting family in Australia right now, knows a number of family members in Colombia. So I had to think for a minute, is she in Colombia or Australia? She's in Australia. I think it's the middle of the night. And she had the most incredible story going through a divorce and all sorts of personal just challenges. And she stepped into the Worthy Collective and she has been soaring ever since. She took on a class early exam because we came in behind her and we were like, Tracy, you got this. Like we were the wind beneath her wings. Did she show up for the test? Yeah. Did we? No, she did. But she had us with her. And so there's nothing greater than having a support system. And if we're not it, That's okay. Find it because you are worthy of your heart's desire. And when you have that support system, it can catch you when you fall. And that's part of life. When you set a resolution and on day two, you're like, dang. But when you have a word, you keep looking at the day, the week, and the month differently versus attaching yourself to a resolution. It's more of a statement, a word that hits your heart so that carries you through the entire year, whether it's, again, your focus of your health, your wealth, your relationships, your business, and how that looks. So we're grateful that you are here. We don't always do this, but we went over, and I feel completely compelled to say a little prayer. It's something special that we do. And I just learned for the first time in my life at 49 what the word amen means. And it means, and so it is. And so it is such a special place now to realize that we can pray over our lives. And when two or more are gathered, it's such a great blessing. So thank you all for being here. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this place and this opportunity that we have to come together. We are in many different spaces, places, and seasons in our lives. And I ask you to bless all who are here with us on video, without video, on the replay, who catch this from a friend whenever they're meant to catch it. Thank you for the hearts and the souls of incredible women who are inspiring right as they are. We were made worthy within you. In your name we pray. And so it is. Love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Thanks, Bree.
Thanks, Bree. Bye, Kim.
Thank you for the invite. It was nice hearing everyone. Have a good one.
Mwah.
Bye.